Welcome back to Tucked In Wizards, guys. My name is Aidan, and I'm here with Ben.
Welcome back, guys. It's been a little bit, but not much to talk about with the Wizards. Just kind of.
It's been an eventful couple weeks, though.
Yeah,
we've had a couple wins.
We're back. Got a big one. I was in Denver. We were both in Denver.
Yes, sir.
We went to the Denver Wizards game. Best game of the year by far, I would say.
No, for sure. It was a lot of fun, and just seeing like 32 from Sar, draining threes, blocking people, playing good defense. Like it really showed the glimpse of what Sar could be in the future.
Yeah.
So it's cool to be able to be there live and see it all happen.
It's funny, people like, especially in the MVP race. We'll talk about the MVP race and the Rookie of the Year race a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Using it as like, oh, look at Jokic can't defend anyone when Sar was just cooking. I don't know.
Yeah, it's always disingenuous. I always push back on the toxic rookie like MVP stuff, and even like I think Shea's an amazing player. In my personal opinion, Jokic edges it a bit this year, but I'm not mad if Shea wins or people say Shea should win. It's like these are historical seasons out of both of them. Exactly. It's like an MJ season from Shea. It's just like a Wilt season from Jokic.
Yeah, so it's very interesting. But that Nuggets game, I mean, when you say we saw glimpses of what it could be, like. It was almost like they were almost like playing kind of like a contender, which feels kind of odd to say the team has 14 now 15 wins. But it really, you got that contender glimpse, like, hey, when they're all in their primes, this is what they could look like.
I think there was like a quarter, maybe half a quarter with that. The fourth quarter specifically, where like the third quarter we were really bad. And the second quarter we weren't that great.
Yeah,
I think. But we had like two good quarters, and then the fourth quarter we really looked good, and like the ball was flowing. That was when Middleton was on, I think, and like the ball was flowing really well, and smart shots were being taken. Like there were a few times where we were like, "Whoa, they can move the ball like that?"
Yeah.
This team.
It was like odd.
And then you look at like a guy like Cooper Flagg or Dylan Harper, even Ace Bailey or deep like later. If you get like top 5 this draft, they're all stacked. Adding someone like that to this roster that can score on top of the defense that's already been playing, and like that's why Cooper Flagg to me fits perfectly. He's the first overall pick, and he's like, I don't want to say generational talent, but he looks very good for a 17-year-old.
Yeah.
And his thing is he's good on offense, but he's also a defensive menace. So adding that into the team, and we just have like we turn it around from 30th defense in the league to 20. 8-15, make some progress.
Continue getting better. And that's been the goal with Will Dawkins throughout this entire tenure so far, especially in the draft, is defense first players. And we keep seeing that Sar's a defense first player, Keyshawn's a defense first player, but not necessarily a defense first player, but whatever. Bilal a defense first player.
The narrative on Bub was that he was like not a defender, but he was, for his size and position, like a tenacious defender, and he'd get after it. And
yeah,
like,
he's not a bad defender.
He gets steals. He's not a bad defender.
He is a bad defender.
He does other things better.
He's projected to not be a bad defender.
Yeah, and he's not a bad defender among rookies, I still think.
Yeah.
Rookies struggle, because it's like you're never going to get calls. It's hard to know, like, you don't know all the positioning. You don't even know your team's defensive schemes that well yet versus, like, other teams' offensive schemes.
Yeah, and we saw that at
Jenny
all the time when he was a rookie. Yeah. Is that he would just get called for these tic-tac fouls that
I remember saying when Denny was a rookie, we were like, this guy's supposed to be a good defender? Like, what's going on? This guy sucks. And then, obviously, he turned it around. That first year was weird, because he sucked on defense, but he was a sniper.
And it was also, like,
because Scott Brooks just sat him in the corner.
Of a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, what wasn't back then?
Yeah. But
I still maintain, if he wasn't on that team, we'd win, like, 8 more games. We wouldn't have been good. But we would have won, like, there were, like, 8 to 10 games that he specifically lost us from rotations and just bad decisions.
The Neto Westbrook lineups were, like, had me pulling my hair out because none of them could shoot.
Me.
And none of them, like, they would, like, drive and then everyone would collapse. And then they would pass it out to, like, one of the other guards that also couldn't shoot. And it would just be a repeat of that. Until and
we were trying to be a playoff team.
Tried to Beal had to do something, or Westbrook had to do something. But whatever. Enough about Scott Brooks. Back to the Denver game. We had obviously the Sar career high, where he was absolutely cooking Jokic in the altitude, and then we had the fourth quarter Poole takeover, and he was pretty bad up to that point, and then the fourth quarter he just. We were joking at the game because he made like a layup or something. We're like, oh, here comes the Poole logo heat check, and then the next possession he literally did a logo heat check and made it. and he just like continued to heat check for the rest of the game, and then of course the game winner. Also another crazy shot, but eventually he's taken those throughout the whole season. Eventually one was going to fall.
Yeah, for sure.
And
it was like almost half court, really. It was just like an insane and I remember like thinking like, why the fuck is he pulling up for that? Because we had like a second left on the shot clock, but it just didn't matter. He was so nice.
Yeah, he was very nice. And the Nuggets fans in the crowd, they were all like absolutely crashing.
They were so
especially
mad.
The guy sitting next to us. He was like, I thought you said they were gonna go away, man.
He was nice about it, but he was crashing out.
I heard people being like, worst team in the league.
Yeah.
Not anymore though.
Like, I can't believe this. It was so funny.
Yeah, we're recording this before this is a very big game coming up between the Wizards and the Jazz. Obviously, both of them 15 wins. So we'll see who wins the tank off, I guess.
It's a very big game, but it's like, I don't know how big of a game it is, really. It's good if we win it so we don't slide into like the third worst, but first or second to me is fine.
Yeah.
Even third, honestly. It's just like, I don't really care about getting the worst odds because we have the same amount of chances for the first, second, and third pick in the first, second, and third worst, I think. It's just like, we could get the third worst record and have the seventh pick, which would suck.
That would suck.
But getting the fifth or sixth pick, like, I don't think that... Like, this draft is good, but it seems like top 3 is huge.
Yeah, and I also...
4 is good, and 5 to an extent is good, and then 6 is just as good as 5. Like, there's a lot of... This draft is really deep, so outside of the top 3, you have a lot of, like, really good players you could aim for.
That's what
and
I was
knowing our front
too.
office, they're just going to get some random dude that's amazing.
Yeah, like, you have Cooper Flag and Dylan Harper are, in my opinion, the 1-2 at the top. And then after that, from, like, 3 to 7, you have a couple of other guys. Yeah, or even 3 to 10. You have a couple of other guys that could be just as good. I know Ace Bailey is kind of in that weird category, but then you have the guy from Illinois, Trey Johnson, Maluk from Duke. So there's a couple of guys in that 3-10 area where it's like, these guys would still be very good to have on the team.
Yeah. I don't know anything about the draft yet. I'm going to start looking when the lottery comes around. If we don't, I mean, obviously I'm going to be looking really close if we don't have the top 3. I still think Ace Bailey's up there. He didn't have a great year, I know, but I saw someone breaking down that there's like a lot of other contextual things to take into account as well, where like he's on a team with Dylan Harper, so stats aren't going to be as good, obviously.
And also Rutgers isn't that good of a team.
Exactly, Rutgers just sucks. So it's like it's hard to and like that just goes to show how good Dylan Harper is, and I think he really does deserve that number 2, maybe even number 1 spot with like, we've seen it before. People get drafted 2, and like they're both really good, and they could both have
John
gone
Morant,
like 1 or 2.
Is what this is like. But then you also have like Scoot and Wemby, right? Where Wemby's obviously amazing, and Scoot comes off not as good, although he's been picking it up. We watched a couple of games this year where he's like really carried the Blazers. So I think
it's a hard example to make though, because Wemby was like two or 3 years before he was even eligible to be a rookie. They were like, watch out for this kid coming out of France. Where like Cooper Flag's been getting a bit of buzz, but it's like nowhere near the Wemby hype.
It's not the same.
And I don't think he's anywhere near the player Wemby is.
Yeah,
so,
I
think he's great.
He's not near the Wemby Zion hype at all, because Zion was also hyped up incredibly, and Cooper Flag's hyped up, no doubt. But those two, those two were hyped tremendously, and obviously both of them.
I just don't think he's a very flashy player. It's kind of the same thing with like Anthony Edwards coming in. He was not hyped. People were like, should they even pick Ant? Because is he going to play basketball? Versus like LaMelo, who had a crazy amount of hype and is good, but he's
and
not
James
as good as Wemby is.
That would have been a disaster.
Yeah. I mean that one's weird because even in the time, people were like, this is kind of a weird pick.
It's because he didn't play in college. Like he played. It was similar with when Shaedon Sharpe came out of college, whereas like. This guy was injured the whole year, his freshman year. He like hasn't played college ball at all. How do we really know what he's going to be? And obviously, James Wiseman never stayed healthy. He also wasn't very good at the NBA level.
No,
and then you have the complete other side where Shaedon Sharpe is amazing. So it's all like kind of luck.
I think it also really depends, just like the fit I think was why people were like, oh, they really need a center. But it was like, I don't know. People just didn't really understand it. I didn't really understand it at the time. Because that was, who was 3 that draft? I can't remember.
LaMelo.
Was
that was LaMelo.
LaMelo. Yeah, they should, like, imagine the Warriors with LaMelo right now. It's a supercharged Jordan Poole.
Yeah.
It's just like, they'd still be contenders.
Yeah, and even at the time,
whatever.
like in hindsight, obviously they traded, but even at the time, I feel like we were like, they should probably trade this pick.
That's what everyone was saying. Everyone was like,
they had a Beal offer there.
They definitely should have.
Or they didn't have
a
Beal
Beal
offer. I don't think they had a Beal offer. I don't think the Wizards would have done that. But in
but
theory,
still, there were plenty of players that could have gotten. And like centers who are fully developed versus a young guy who's unproven that you have to then develop and get there.
Right.
It never made sense to me. But like, I don't think there's very many people in this draft like that. That's going to go that high. I feel like the top couple are pretty well defined. It's just like if we get 4, 5, 6, 7, I'd be really interested to see where Will Dawkins wants to go.
Yeah,
even 3, honestly. I think Ace Bailey's not a shoo-in for sure.
No, I don't think so. I mean, we saw Bilal was mocked in the late lottery, right? And he got picked at 7, so we really never know how the draft is going to go. I think the only like obviously there's question marks on everyone in the draft, but the only super question mark in the top 7 is probably Trey Johnson out of Texas. But everyone else, I think, not that they know what they're going to be, but you have a good idea.
Anyway, I don't really know this draft yet. Like I said, I know the top guys because Cooper Flag, obviously, Dylan Harper's been great. And I like know names of other guys that I've heard. Like I don't even know if he's still up there, but Nolan Traore is.
Yeah, I think he fell. He didn't have a very good year in France.
Yeah,
Killian Hayes.
That's also like that's kind of the Bilal, but also Bilal. He had a decent year.
He had a better year.
I guess he had a great year because he was brought up. He was brought up from the U18 team or whatever, U20 team. But Bilal was mocked like 18 or something, I think.
He was definitely mocked.
He was picked way ahead. Yeah.
Let's talk about this year's Rookie of the Year race because we actually have someone in the running.
We do.
Right now, I think. Well, I'm not going to speak for you, but I would put it between Alex Sarr and Stephon Castle right now. I know you have Jalen Wells was getting some buzz earlier, but he kind of fell off a little bit. Does anyone else really? I guess Ricochet has gotten some now because he's been a lot better. But really, for
early you had like
Zach Edey and Jared McCain, but
it was Yves Missy early on, but nobody's really brought that up in a long time. Yeah, Khalil Ware was up there for a while, but I don't think he's been that good recently either. But I think Ricochet, it's a weird year, so anyone who goes off this little stretch,
I know it's like,
and he's on a more popular team. So if the Hawks go off and he leads them to a playoff spot or whatever they say, then it seems more impressive than Sarr, who's like, oh, he's on the Wizards.
Exactly.
And I've already seen people like after the 30-point game, they're like, yeah, but he's on the Wizards. It's like, so?
Yeah, it doesn't.
It's hard.
It doesn't really make much sense. But I'm gonna go over the stats because I do think if I had to pick right now, I think Castle would win. But there's still time left, and Sarr has put together some pretty phenomenal performances. I mean, he's averaging over 20 points in his last at least 3 games.
The official NBA ranking for Rookie of the Year as of March 11th puts Sarr 8.
That's crazy.
And right above Bub at 9. And he's right below Yves Missy still, somehow. I don't understand it.
Yeah, that definitely hasn't been updated. But anyway, I'll go over the stats because Castle's put together a great year, especially with Fox going down and Wemby going down. He's averaging about 14 points, 3 assists, 3 rebounds, 42% from the field, 28% from 3, 71 from the line. So for a rookie, not bad. And then contrast that with Sarr, who's 12-6 and 2, 39% from the field, disgusting for a center, and 32% from 3, 65% free throw percentage. It's very close. Between these two, and I think if Sarr continues to have performances like he did in Denver and like he did in Portland, and Detroit, and I'll even go to Toronto. These last 5 games, he's been amazing.
He's been great. He's been amazing.
I think he's got a real shot.
And I'd love this to be a thing for all NBA awards, but I really do think that defense needs to be emphasized here because Ricochet, let's be real, he's not playing the defense that Sarr's playing.
No, I mean that's just
Sarr's
that could be a Hawks issue also.
Yeah, but the Wizards aren't good on defense.
No, you're right.
So, and he's holding his own. It's like, Jokic abused him, which is it's what you expect. And the really big men still back him down. But I saw a clip of the Portland game where he or maybe it wasn't the Portland game, whatever the last game was, he was like really bodying their center and like bumping him and scoring with like a little hook. Yeah. I was like, damn, that looks like a real NBA center move, which he was not doing at the beginning of the year.
No, yeah, and the improvements from the beginning of the year to now, pretty astronomical, honestly, for Sar specifically. Because at the beginning of the year, I remember we even talked on this channel where we were like, man, his offense is not good. Not good.
Yes. No, I remember being pretty worried at Summer League. We were both like, he's got to figure this out a little bit. But
it's not great.
Yeah, we were both like, it's Summer League, so it's fine, but it's concerning for sure. But now it's like, I'm not concerned at all.
Now, if he's taking an open three, I'm pretty confident he's going to make it.
Me too. I want him to take it.
Yeah.
Where like when he was shooting threes at the beginning, I was like, what the fuck is this guy doing?
Yeah.
But yeah, to learn that quick is very good. And to be able to fill Valanciunas' shoes after he left is a good sign too. Because Valanciunas isn't anything amazing, but he's a good NBA center that's been around for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
So it's good that he can fill that role, and like it doesn't feel like we're missing much. And even Holmes has stepped up and had a really good.
Holmes has had a great
season here,
in my opinion, for what I thought he was going to be.
Yeah, me too.
Because he was like not getting any minutes, and then he came in. He was a real hustle guy, and really got a lot of. He was able to get on the boards. There was in the Nuggets game, there was that stretch where he was kind of getting dominated in the first quarter, and then he really stepped it up in the second half. And Sar had to play on the bench and kind of help bring that team back.
I think part of it as well was that he was playing when Jokic was on the bench the second time.
Probably.
So I think that helped him a little bit because he could not do anything to Jokic. Jokic is too big and smart.
Yeah, watching Jokic live was like, this guy just makes anything at any time.
Yeah,
and that's why
it's not just he gets anything he wants. If he like sees something and he's like, I want to get to that spot and shoot this shot, he's doing that. You can't stop him.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Did you want to talk about Castle a little bit? Oh, sorry, no. What were you gonna say?
I was just gonna say it is a treat being able to see him multiple times a year if I want to here. Just like I've seen that one game, he had the full court football pass for the I don't think it was a game winner, but they scored off of it to Aaron Gordon. I was there live and it was just fucking insane just seeing it go all the way across.
Yeah. And the crowd is
talking about Castle. No, the crowd is really good. Denver has a really good atmosphere. Really dedicated fans. So dedicated that the tickets were expensive as fuck.
Yeah, anyway. For a Wizards game.
Yeah, for nosebleeds.
They knew it was going to be the best game of the season, apparently.
No, they did. He, I think, has had a really good year. I think it's hard to put in context everything because it's like his team is better for sure. He's playing with a better player in Wemby, so it draws a lot of gravity away. But it's also he's like the eye test really shows that he's looking very mature, developed, and I think at this point his game is a little further ahead of where Sar's game is, but Sar's a little younger, so it evens out. So it's tough to decide. I think I still would have Sar above him personally. Of course, I'm a bit of a homer with the Wizards fan, but Castle I think has been having a really crazy March too. He's like averaging like 20 something points a game in March.
Yeah, he's amazing.
So that's really like supporting his narrative, and I wouldn't be mad if he won. It's kind of the same thing as the Rookie of the Year conversation, where I feel like Sar is a bit more worthy because if you put it in context of what he was when the season started and what people expected out of him, he's completely shed a lot of those expectations and changed who he is as a player. So I think he's improved the most, but I think Castle is the more polished NBA player right now. It just depends what your definition of Rookie of the Year is to me.
Yeah, I'm in a similar boat. I'd probably personally go Castle right now, even though I do want to make the homer pick of Sar. I think because you could split the Spurs season into two parts, and it was, while Wemby was playing and while Wemby wasn't playing. And the thing that really stood out to me about Castle, and I'm looking through his regular season right now, is the consistency of when he was playing with Wemby and when he wasn't hasn't changed. So he's putting up very similar numbers with Wemby and without, and I think that's why he's just been very consistent for a rookie, which I think
yeah,
is
but
why
at the same time, it's like he's got Wemby and De'Aaron Fox.
But he's playing the same without
Sar's
them.
got Jordan
He's actually
Poole.
playing better.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's all like I said, what your definition of rookie of the year is. Yeah, like he's not winning. And Sar's been putting up the same. He's been getting 32 points per game.
I don't know about points per game.
I just no, not points per game. But I just think like to me, I never expected Sar to have a 30-point game this season, and I was worried about if he would get to 15 or 20 in a real NBA game. So the fact that he's able to do that and like has progressed so much inside of the rim and rebounding and everything, it's hard for me not to give it to him because of the improvements he's made. Where Castle came in very polished, so he's been consistent all year, but that's because he started that way. And to me, rookie of the year is supposed to be about who's had the better rookie year, where Castle's had the better rookie year stat wise, but to me, Sar's had the most productive rookie year where he's gotten the most out of his experiences in the NBA.
Yeah, and I think that's fair to like if either one, like if Castle wins, obviously I want Sar to win because he's a wizard. But if Castle wins, I'm not gonna be like, like he shouldn't have won, he didn't deserve it.
Yeah, they're both pretty deserving, and it's kind of a weak year for it. So it's like in a normal year, Sar wouldn't be in the conversation probably.
Yeah.
When you have someone like Wemby or LaMelo or someone like that. But still, he's having a great season. We'll see. I think the top people on that list are all having really good seasons and have a bright future. Reece Shea has been better than I expected, honestly. He had a tough start.
He's really turned it around.
He's really been good. He's been really good these past month and a half or so.
Yeah.
And the Hawks need it. They're winning games, so we'll see if they can make the playoffs.
They see if he can get to 500 again. Back to 500. They can't escape it, even when trading DeJounte Murray.
What was the stat last year? Like over the last 5 years, they're exactly 500.
Yeah, something crazy.
Combine all the seasons,
which is why I really hope they go 500 again, because I think that'd be hilarious.
There's a good chance.
What's some other NBA news going on? The Mavericks are falling apart. Obviously, we talked about the Luka trade like a couple months ago. They're a disaster
we were very
right now.
Negative on that trade.
As we should.
I didn't expect this though, for sure. Like I expected them to be worse, but I didn't expect them to be falling out of the playoffs bad.
Yeah, and they've had some bad luck with injuries, but I mean, they almost forfeited a game, so I don't know how much worse they can get. And the Suns also been horrendous. I've seen people in Suns Twitter and Suns Reddit who are just going off on Beal about how they hate him and they've never hated a player more and stuff like that. And it's like kind of sad because he is a little washed, but you know.
Oh, he's so washed. I love that quote where he was like, "I'm loving my life. I got my family. I got my no trade contract."
He really emphasized the no trade clause. He said, "Y'all ain't getting rid of me."
But big thing going around the NBA to me is just like it happens every year, but it's very funny to see the discrepancy between East and West and how the placements are falling. Like the West, the 7 seed and the 2 seed are within 5 games, and in the East, the 1, 2, and 3 seed are all separated by like 6 and 7 games each. So it's like those are already set basically in the East, and then you have a tight race for 4 to 6, and then the 7 seed is 5 games out of the playoffs.
Yeah.
Where the 7 seed in the West is half a game out of the playoffs.
And also 10 games over 500.
Yes. 10 games over 500 versus 3 games under 500. But the Hawks will make that up. So 500 exactly.
Yeah, they got to.
We can just pencil that in for them.
17 and 17 at home kind of fits for the Hawks.
Yeah.
I'm curious because we did standings predictions at the beginning of the season. I don't think we ever uploaded it though, but maybe when the season's over we could go back and look at it, see what we got wrong, see what we got right. The Bulls actually just passed the Miami, which is something I didn't know. Miami's losing streak is the longest in the Spoelstra era. I know that, which is kind of crazy.
I mean, they probably have the worst team in the Spoelstra era because Spoelstra went pretty much straight from LeBron to Butler.
Yeah, he had those teams in the middle that was led by Dion Waiters and Josh Richardson, but The
True.
Sims
Can't
were
sleep on
weirdly
those guys,
really good. Yeah.
NBA 2K15 legend Dion Waiters.
Yeah. Go listen to his tremendous voice acting. Absolutely insane. I remember I had the Cavs really low. Obviously, they're.
I had the Cavs really low too. I did not believe in them. I slept on them for sure.
Slept on them hard.
The Bucks are a lot lower than I expected this year for sure. I think I had the Magic a little higher at Indiana.
Pistons.
I think I had Indiana around there. I don't really remember. I was really down on the Bulls. I think I had the Bulls out of the play-in, which, is fair. I didn't expect this whole Sixers thing. I think I had them like 6, but
we were both really
Embiid
low on the
and Paul
Sixers,
George to get
and I
injured
don't think
immediately.
either of us expected them to be this bad.
No, they're the 12 seed. They're in the
Their
lottery.
season's over. Yeah.
Their season's over. Their season's been over for like 2 months. The season's been over for longer than the Wizards season's been over, it feels like.
Yeah, about the same amount. Wizards, though, not.
Yeah,
out
I mean,
of the
I guess our season was over night 1. So.
We have that graphic
it's a
that
little
was like
different.
Poole and Kuzma. The Wizards have been eliminated from the playoffs.
Hey, take
night
Kuzma
1.
out of there. Put in Sar. Put in Sar.
Not anymore. But yeah, it's shaping up to be an interesting playoffs, and that's probably when we'll be back when the playoffs starts. We'll talk about some awards and what we think how the playoffs is gonna go. I think did we pick the Nuggets last season to win? I think we might have picked the Nuggets last season to win, but we did have them beating the Celtics.
Season, but we had
so
Nuggets
we were close.
Celtics. Yeah.
Oh, the Celtics not being really a hot take.
No. I don't want to. I mean, it's probably going to be Thunder. I don't know. Thunder are a really, 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 really good team, so I don't want to disrespect them when I say this. They kind of reek of a team that loses late in the playoffs entirely because of inexperience, and they're good enough where that might be the finals. I just don't see it being their year this year because they're so young.
Well, the thing is, they're really
they've
good.
never been there.
They've never been there, and if they are going to be in there, this is the year to do it. But you have to think, if the bracket ended right now, this will be the last point, and then we'll probably get out of here. If the bracket ended right now, they would be matched up with the Lakers or the Grizzlies in the second round, and that's probably going to be the Lakers. And you put Luka, who just beat the Thunder last year, and then you also add LeBron, who has all the experience in the world. It's really tough for the. I think that's a really, really tough series for the Thunder. And
I'm
then,
going to be honest, even
Jokic and Steph on
even
side.
if the Nuggets fall, I think it's bad. I think all of the matchups in the West are very tough.
Yeah.
Even the first round matchup, if the Clippers make it through and they face the Clippers, that's not an easy matchup. I don't think they're going to lose, but I don't think it's a 4 or 5 game series. I think it's going to go to 6 at least because the Clippers are good at hanging in there.
Yeah.
And we saw it from Harden last year too, or I think it was last. 2 years ago, the 2 50 bombs.
Oh yeah, with Philly, yeah.
Against Boston, yeah, and basically single-handedly kept them in there for 2 games. You can expect that out of Harden if Kawhi's healthy. You can expect maybe one of those out of Kawhi. So it's the West is just so scary that I think they would win that for sure, but it's not like they're going to easily move on and feel really good about themselves. Or they do.
Or they beat them by double digits
like the finals. Who knows, man? Maybe they just win. It's hard. This is a weird season.
Well, we'll be back when the season
ends. They do look like a team that chokes a little bit. But yes, we'll be back.
In the season, which is in a couple weeks, so we're almost done.
Yeah, I think it's about 3 weeks. Yeah.
So we'll have our playoff predictions, and then we'll start getting into draft stuff too. Especially with the Wizards being bad. Do you want to talk about your Final Four?
Sure. I have a couple brackets this year. I'm taking the easy way. Last year I picked all upsets and it was terrible. So this year I decided I'm going to try my brackets. My Final Four I think right now is Auburn, Maryland. I can't remember the other side if it was. And then I think Duke, Tennessee I had. And I have Duke winning the whole thing because I think healthy Cooper Flag is going to lead his team to the championship.
Yeah, I never trust freshmen. So I have Tennessee, Alabama, and then I'm trusting a freshman. Maryland, and I got New Mexico going in the Final Four.
Duke is crazy. I'm going to be honest.
I have Alabama beating Duke in the Elite Eight, and then losing to Tennessee, who then goes on and beats Maryland in the finals.
Alabama
maybe a
are
little
some frauds. I can't believe in Alabama.
Maybe I'm a little Maryland pilled right now, picking them over Florida because I know a lot of people have Florida. But
I have Florida winning my other bracket, but I had to rep Maryland in one of them.
Exactly. And then New Mexico, I was like, let's just throw in a 10 seed. I know Rick Pitino's son is the coach for New Mexico. So expecting big things out of the let's call it a legacy hire.
I don't know anything about college football or college basketball. I don't watch college anything. I just watch the NBA really. So it's kind of fun doing March Madness because I just pretty much entirely blindly pick.
And then it's
so
still
we'll see how it
just
goes
as
this
good as
year.
experts. That's what's
Exactly.
like, about it.
That's what's fun about it. You just don't know anything. You pick some random shit and you get top 10% bracket or whatever. And hey, if you got the perfect bracket, you can take Elon up to his offer and take a trip to Mars.
It's true. Hopefully I don't.
Die on the way. No, hopefully I the odds are with me to not have a perfect bracket, so I think I'm staying on Earth right now.
Yeah, me
luckily.
too. All right, we'll be back when the playoffs start. Gafford, take us out.
Yo, what's up? It's your boy DG. I'm gonna keep it short and sweet. Nothing major. We hitting the wizard bed tonight, baby. Let's get it. Gafford out.